Rock and metal invasion. Rock and metal invasion. Rock and metal invasion. Rock and metal invasion.
Hi, welcome to Rock and Metal Invasion. My name is Steve. Coming up on the show today, I'm doing soft metal. Yes, soft metal. Now, it's not some new subgenre, although perhaps it was back in the day. Now, the reason I'm doing soft metal is back in the late 80s, early 90s, a whole lot of compilations came out with their heading soft metal. And I've got quite a few of them. And so I thought I'd show them today and just talk about some of the songs on these compilations. And there's some really good songs. So the type of music, even though it's called soft metal, and obviously, some genius came out with the idea that, hey, you know how there's heavy metal? What about those songs that aren't that heavy, but could still be called metal? How about we call it soft metal? Never really took off. But I think it's also evidence of the fact that although we use the term hair metal these days, and a lot of these bands that are on these soft metal compilations would go in the hair metal category, this is evidence that hair metal just was not a category, was not a genre, or wasn't something people even knew about back in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s. And of course, it's only sort of we've gone back in time and sort of called it hair metal, because otherwise, I'm sure a lot of these compilations would have been called hair metal hits or something like that. Compilations like hair metal hits are now coming out or have come out over recent years, but back in the day, it wasn't called hair metal. Someone, though, thought up the idea of calling it soft metal. Now, it never really took off, I don't think. I don't think people were going around going, my favorite genre of music is soft metal. But I think also people kind of knew, and especially when they, look at these compilations and look at the track listings, what that sort of meant. So it's those kind of songs that could fit into the hard rock, even maybe into the heavy metal genre, but they weren't super heavy. There's no thrash on here, well, actually, there is a Megadeth, but it's not super heavy stuff, right? So stuff you might have heard on the radio, and some of it's even in the pop rock kind of genre. So let's just get into it, because like I say, I actually own quite a few of these. Became a bit of a thing where I thought, I'm going to start collecting these because these are good. And there's quite a few. I think most of them are from the UK, but I think some were also released in Europe as well. So sometimes there's some double ups, I think, but and they've all got slightly different names, but it's pretty much the same, genre or type of music, or it's like a series. So I think this was the original one that came out. So this is, as I said, soft metal, and it ain't heavy. Just in case you were thinking it was going to get heavy, it ain't heavy. And then it's got 18 hits from the giants of rock. So it's kind of saying, look, this is rock, some of the biggest names in rock, and then it mentions some of the names down there. But, it's got Saxon on here. It's got Whitesnake. So there's definitely some of those heavier bands on here. If you have a look at the track list, look, there's Ozzy Osbourne's on here. So, like I say, it definitely has some bands that would fit into the hair metal genre. You've got Heart, Alone. Marillion's not a band I'm really into that much, but Kaylee, that was quite a big hit for them. Whitesnake, of course, Here I Go Again. Saxon, Ride Like the Wind, which was, a cover song, Christopher Cross. Shot in the Dark by Ozzy, probably, I guess, not one of his heaviest songs, but that was sort of a bit of a hit for him, wasn't it? You got Journey. I won't go through it all. You got Meatloaf. So Meatloaf's, getting into that more pop rock kind of stuff. REO Speedwagon, Europe, The Final Countdown. Now, this came out in 1988, so they're not too worried if the song's a little bit old. If it fits this sort of type of music they want on this compilation, then they'll put it on there, because, Final Countdown is a couple of years old, at least by this stage. You got side two. So, but they also, one thing too about these compilations, they jam the songs in. So this is on vinyl, but it's got 9 songs on side one. So they might be edited down just to fit all in there, but yeah, it's pretty much jammed in there. Side 2, Starship, We Built This City, which is just, I just remember just hearing that all the time on the radio. And, yeah, really don't need to hear that again. It Bites on here. Now, I'm not familiar with these guys really at all. So, but UK band, and when I've seen them, they look a little bit hair metal, some of their image-wise, but I don't think it's not that genre, I don't think, or not that type of music. Stranglers, again, not too familiar. But then it gets into the hair metal now with Poison, Nothing But a Good Time, WASCH, Body Running Fast. I don't know even how to pronounce their band name. Wash. Someone might know about them. I know nothing. Crocus, I bet there's some hair metal. So it's like this side too is a bit of a mixed bag, really. At least even some of it I don't even know. Faith No More, We Care a Lot, which is interesting because this is 1988, so they haven't really got big yet. So this is when they've still got their original vocalist, and we Care a Lot actually I like. But so that's on here. Survivor, Burning Heart, great song. And John Parr, St. Elmo's Fire. So, yeah, I think this was the first one. It came out in 88, but then there's another one that came out, I think, a year later. And it's the same company that puts this out. It's called Stylus Music. And the other one also had As Seen on TV up here in the corner. So, yeah, they're like publishing, they're like publicizing it on TV as well. And this time their sort of tagline, well, it's called Pure Soft Metal now, and this time the tagline is "It Takes Your Breath Away." So I'm guessing maybe Berlin are on this, yeah, featuring Berlin, Bryan Adams, Bad English, REO Speedwagon again, Toto, Cutting Crew, Mr. Mister, so a lot of the AOR bands on here, but you still got some of the hair metal. I can see Poison. You got Wasp on here, but it's a ballad, so not one of the heavier ones. Forever Free, Yes, Berlin, Take My Breath Away. This is a bit pop, this one. Spandau Ballet. I actually quite like the song. It's the song True. I quite like it, but that's quite pop. But then also you've got a band like Mammoth on here in their song Bad Times. I don't think Mammoth were that big, but of course, I guess this is coming out in the UK, so they're a UK band. John Waite, Missing You, that was a big hit. Cutting Crew, I Just Died in Your Arms. I've always quite liked that song. You've got Queen, Kind of Magic, Bryan Adams, Summer of '69. Bryan Adams was huge in the mid-'80s, Reckless, songs from Reckless. But this is 89 that this comes out. So again, it's put songs on here. They're actually quite old, but they've been hits. Toto, Rosanna, I mean, that's not a new song. Speedwagon, Can't Fight This Feeling. So a lot of songs that aren't that new. Got Vixen though, Crying. That must be pretty fairly recent because this is that's come out pretty close to 89, I'd say. So it's a bit of a mixture, older sort of. I guess it's a lot of older, more pop rock kind of songs, and then some of the new sort of hair metal stuff that's coming out at the time. So and interesting here. See, there's the one I've showed you, and then they're also advertising this one, Precious Metal. And do I have Precious Metal? Oh yes, I do. So Precious Metal, which is really, again, just carrying on from the soft metal, but maybe they've decided to change the title from soft metal to Precious Metal. And again, it's As Seen on TV, just in the top right-hand corner here. And it's 18 songs, 18 classic rock hits. So although it's got metal in the title, they're trying to sort of advertise it as more of for rock fans. And a lot of the same bands, yet again, Bryan Adams, yeah, Rainbow's actually on here, so that's interesting. So let's turn it over. Some of the pictures of some of the guys on here. What's the Rainbow song on here? Since You've Been Gone, yeah. So, I mean, not a new song, but that was probably one of their bigger hits. It's got Anthrax doing I'm 18. So, I do remember there is actually some sort of thrash bands on here, but, doing sort of cover songs, actually. You've got REO Speedwagon again, a band called Then Jericho I've never heard of, but they may have been quite popular in the UK. I think this is a UK release. Stylus Music, Bryan Adams' Run to You, another track from Reckless, but that's such a good song. Joan Jett, Hate Myself for Loving You, that probably came out a year or two before, but yeah. Bonnie Tyler, of course, she was big back around this time, and John Farnham was having a big hit with You're the Voice. So yeah, there's a lot of pop rock stuff, but there's still some hard rock stuff in there, and even some hair metal. When I play this, some of it's like, oh yeah, I don't really need to hear that song, but then obviously too, it's like some really good songs that I really like. So yeah, it's like a mixtape, right? It's like a mixtape, but you get the idea from looking at the songs and the artists what you're kind of in for here. And this probably be one of my of the three I've shown so far, maybe my least favorite. Although it does have Ozzy Osbourne, Rock and Roll Rebel, so that's a good one. So it's kind of sometimes I could probably find myself picking up the needle and moving from song to song a little bit because. Yeah, I mean Bonnie Tyler I actually quite like at times, but I've heard Total Eclipse of the Heart enough, and You're the Voice from John Farnham. Again, just got played to death on the radio, and was never really into it that much either. But so yeah, don't really need to hear that. But yeah, some other songs on here I do quite like. So you might have thought that was it, but it kind of is. But I've got three more. I've got four more actually, that I think are kind of similar. Now, it's a different kind of series, I think, but very similar. And next one is Red Hot Metal. So again, it's got metal in the title, 18 rock classics, as seen on TV. So same format. This comes out on Dover Records. So, but it looks almost like the same companies put it out. It's a very similar format. And a lot of the same bands. I think this is probably like 1990 maybe this comes out. But you've got some more, I think you've probably got some heavier bands on this one. And of course it does say Red Hot Metal. It's not saying it's soft metal. And yeah, this is definitely more metal. Still got some pop stuff on here, I think, a little bit. Like you've got Pat Benatar, but even one of her heavier songs, Will Fire It Up. Got Lana Miles, 1927. I'm not too familiar with them, but then you got Black Sabbath, you've got Anthrax, Got the Time, you've got Judas Priest, Nightcrawler. So this is definitely heavier, but still sort of fits in with the you may have heard this on the radio type of thing. So it's got Winger, Miles Away, which was a ballad hit for them. So unfortunately, it's got Poison, Your Mama Don't Dance, one of my least favorite Poison songs. It's got the Slaughter, Up All Night. That was their big hit, their first single from their debut album. It's got an Aussie one, Back at the Moon. Magnum, who's been on some of the other ones I've shown as well. Another Wasp one. This is I Don't Need No Doctor, which is a great song. Cover song, but it's a good one. They do a great version. David Lee Roth, Just Like Paradise, and they kick it off on side one with Queen and Breakthrough. I wasn't really into Queen in the 80s that much. They had a few good songs, but never really got into them, but in a big way. But yeah, it's probably the heavier one. So if you like the sort of slightly heavier, but still not getting super heavy and more, again, to radio songs you may have heard on the radio, but not songs you heard on the radio to death, like some of those other ones I just heard way too much on the radio. So yeah, Red Hot Metal, very similar. And I think these ones probably aren't associated with the company that put what I've shown you out, but they're very similar, right? Very similar. In fact, just before I show those ones, I have actually got another pure soft metal to show, but it's a CD, just to show that this did actually carry on into the 90s. This came out in 1995, I think, and it's a 2 CD, and yeah, it's called Pure Soft Metal. It really ain't heavy, but it actually does seem to have some different songs to what I've shown you on the vinyl, because again, this is mid-90s. But yeah, 15 songs on each side, so 30 songs altogether because it's CD. But yeah, and you can see here on the bands that they're advertising, some different ones that weren't on the vinyl that I showed before. In fact, some bands who hadn't even come out with any releases in the late 80s. So, like, for example, The Poor, they're a really good band. Australian band, I think, and yeah, AC/DC influenced. So it's interesting that they're on here. I'll just see if I can find what song they do, because I really like them. I've got their album, and they are doing, if I can find it, of course it's a CD, and then the back is a very small writing. Where are you, The Poor? I'm sure I'll come up with it soon. Actually, there's a few Australian artists on here, because you've got Diesel as well on here. You've got the Screaming Jets on here. So there's a bit of Aussie stuff, actually. I wonder if this is, sometimes some of these releases, they get changed a little bit for the area that they've been released in. So this could have been released in the UK, but maybe not had so many of the Australian artists on it. I really can't find The Poor. Here we go. More Wine, Waiter Please. There we go. That's a good one. Yeah, I really like that one. It's a good choice. Anyway, so yeah, there's that as well. So just to finish off, I'm going to show another series that's similar to the soft metal, and it's called Leather and Lace. So it's called The Men and Women of Rock. I think it's put out by a different company to the one that put out the pure soft metal stuff, but very similar. It's got similar type of artists on there. Again, they're jamming a lot of songs onto each side. So this one's got 9. So 9 tracks on side 1, 8 on side 2. You got Queen again. You got Pat Benatar, Alice Cooper. Probably a little bit more pop rock because you got Eric Clapton on here, but then you've also got Girl School. You got Laura Branigan. I must admit, I like a bit of Laura Branigan, especially Self Control, good song. You got Tina Turner, Private Dancer. That's a good song though. Marillion's on here again as well. No, more Meatloaf. Total Eclipse of the Heart, Bonnie Tyler. So there's a bit of repetition here. So that's one thing too. If you do go around and start collecting these, you might find you've got some songs that are double up. So they're on this and they're also on another one of these compilations. But yeah, Leather and Lace. And then this came out on Dino in 1990, but then they put out Leather and Lace 2, and it's called The Second Chapter. And this is it. Also, I think in 1990, again, similar concept. And here they all are at the back. Yeah, you can see they were presented very similarly to the pure soft metal. Often Queen or Bryan Adams are kicking off each side. So Queen on this one, sometimes it's Radio Gaga. And again, it's Run to You. So I said that came up on a pure soft metal one, so it's on here as well. So there are definitely some double ups. You got Faith No More, but this was from out of nowhere. So this is with their more recent lineup. It's got Giant, I'm a Believer, which is a great song. You got that Robin Beck song, The First Time, which was a song that was used as an advertisement for Coca-Cola. You got Texas, I Don't Want to Love Her. That was a bit of a hit for them. Not a big fan of that one. But you've also got Robert Plant, Hurting Kind. Always really liked that song. You've got Stevie Nicks. I love Stevie Nicks. And you've got Gun. They were quite a popular UK band there for a while. Better Days. That's from their debut album. Chris Rea, never really got into him, but he's on here. And Fleetwood Mac, even Big Love. That's a good song. I like that one. You've got Radar Love. Now, of course, White Line did a great cover of that. This is the original by Golden Earring. And you've got an artist called Black Velvet. Get Your Love. I'm not that familiar with that one. That's a kind of a new one on me. All About Eve as well. I've heard of them, but not familiar with the song. Martha's Harbour. So there's a couple I'm not super familiar with, but yeah, know most of them. And so that was the second chapter of Leather and Lace. One more to show because it's just so similar. But there's only one of these, I think, and this is called The Wild One. Again, very similar concept. This one came out on EMI. 8 tracks on each side, and yeah, a lot of the same bands, even maybe some of the same songs that I've already talked about. Got Queen again opening up side 1. So I guess because they are one of the bigger names, and if it's sort of the type of band, it's almost like the type of band that they're modeling this on. If you sound a bit like Queen, that type of sound, that's the kind of thing they're putting on these kind of compilations. Sometimes a bit heavier, sometimes a bit softer. But yeah, Kiss Crazy Crazy Nights, that's an interesting choice because this came out in 1990. It's not the most recent Kiss song, but again, this is a UK release, I would imagine. And Crazy Crazy Nights was actually a big hit in the UK for them. You got Bruce Dickinson, Tattooed Millionaire. So this is where Megadeth. So Megadeth feature here, No More Mr. Nice Guy. But again, often when it's the thrash bands on here, we had a couple of Anthrax songs featured, but they were cover songs, and this one also a cover song. Another Robert Plant, this one's Heaven Knows, Wasp again, Skid Row, Piece of Me, that's an interesting choice. Faith No More, Epic, so different Faith No More. So yeah, Faith No More turning up on these as well. So it's, again, because they turned up before the sort of alternative thing had really taken off. They were kind of coexisting, with the hair metal bands at the time. But then, of course, that sort of soon changed. The hair metal bands faded away. But bands like, Faith No More, they were fine because they fitted in nicely with the alternative scene that was becoming popular. And so there we go. Yeah, I like having a few compilations in my collection, and I've got to be honest with you, I don't play them a lot. And also, if I do play them, sometimes there's a few songs on them that I either skip or just, look forward to them ending. But of course, the thing is too, because they jam so many songs on each side, 8 or 9 songs on each side, they're usually very short. So they might even be edited down or faded out. So it's only 3.5 minutes, that perfect sort of radio length type song. So you don't have to wait long, and then you get to the next song, and often that could be the one that you really like. So and sometimes good if you've got friends coming over or whatever. You're not sure what to put on. It's a safe bet. They'll probably, especially if they're around sort of your age sort of thing and they grew up in the 80s, they'll know these songs and the kind of stuff that, like for me, because, I'd probably quite like to put on, Bangalore Choir or something like that, right? But, some of my friends come over that aren't into that type of music. They're not going to be into it quite so much. So I could put on one of these and they'll be like, oh, yeah, cool, I know that song. They're happy. I'm relatively happy. So, that's kind of how they can be used as well. So, hope you enjoyed that. If you did, make sure you hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and I'll catch you later.